Good afternoon, folks. I'm back on this Buck 110 here. This is the second video. The first video I showed you how I took the scales off, how the pins were removed and everything, and I got my spring in there. I'm going to take it out here in a little bit, but for now I'm going to show you how I put the scales on. So first thing of order here is to choose your wood. In this case, I got this beautiful tiger maple. I'm sorry. This is a beautiful tiger maple that I dyed green. I'm sure I'll have to dye it again after I sand it down and get it on a knife, but yeah, I just love the pattern of this. I think this is going to look really cool with the green dye on it when I'm done. And I'll carve that spine something different this time instead of a vine pattern. So here's what I do. If you can see on here, I traced out one of these scales I told you in the first video to save these scales. So I put it on there like that, and then I traced around it with a carving knife. So first order is I'm going to find out what part of the tiger I like the most and go from there. So let me see here. I got that there. I want to kind of book match it in a sense. I think that'll work right there. Okay, that one's traced out. I'm going to put this bad boy right about here, I think. Okay, so what I do now, this is a very sharp carving knife, so I go along the scale and cut into the wood, the outline. Don't let it move on you. You want to get this as accurate as you can. Okay, and on this one I think I'm going to put the stainless pin back all the way through it instead of just gluing the scales on. I don't know. I'll decide when I get to that point. Now you can barely see it. I can see it good, but you probably can't. So what I do is I take the sharp pencil here, nice and sharp, darken the carving out more by following the carving with the pencil. I don't know if you can see that or not. Nice sharp pencil will follow that cut line real nice. Okay, that's that. We got a matching set here. Okay, next I'll take it to the bandsaw, cut them out, get them close to the line, and go from there. Okay, I'll turn this on and cut along the line here. Get these cut out. cut within 1/8 of an inch from the line, and then I'll get the rest on the sander. I'll get the other one cut out and go from there. Okay, I got both of these cut out on the bandsaw. As you can see. Now I'll turn on my sander and sand them to the line. Just before the line. Not exactly. I want to see that line all the way around, except for the two ends. I want to fit them tight to the brass. Okay, I'll get my knife and I'll sand it till she fits. Okay, you gotta sand these so that you creep up on it. You don't want to over sand these. Then you're going to have gaps if you do. That one appears to fit pretty good. Okay, I'll get the other one done and go from there. Okay, these look pretty good. Everything fits pretty snug. Now I'll take the thickness down on them till I get just above that brass, and then they're ready for glue up. But before I do the glue up, I'm going to do a video on carving the spine. I might go with a Celtic knot instead of a vine pattern. So, alright, I'll get these sanded down and show you when I'm done. Okay, now I'm going to get the thickness of my knife here. Right there, and I'll go a tad bit wider. Lock that down, and then I'll scribe this all the way around. Okay, same on this one. That's how much I got to take off on that side. So same concept, put my pencil in that groove I made so I can see it better when I sand it. Same on this one. Nice sharp pencil goes in this groove real easy. Okay, back to the sander. I'll get these sanded off. See, I made an arrow here. This small part is what I want to take out to give me my thickness just wider than the same here. Take out that. Get it marked here. Left, right. Take that out. Alright, I'll be back after I sand it. Okay, normally I wouldn't sand the bottoms of where this is going to the liner. Okay, I would take it off the top, but since I dyed this and I want to show a demonstration what it's going to look like once it's on. See, nothing's flat here, so I got to flatten the bottoms now. So what I use is a sheet of glass here, and I got sandpaper on it, and my lines are still showing, so I want to sand these down flat to the line. Almost there. That looks pretty good. Okay, that should be nice and flat now. Put this on here. No gaps on the top. No gaps. Turn it around. No gaps on the bottom. Right, left's fitting good. Okay, I'll do the other one the same way. And get back. Okay, both sides are done. No gaps between the wood and the liner on this side. No gaps there. Okay, this is ready to glue in. But I'm not going to do that until after I carve the spine. So I'll get set up and get ready to carve the spine, and then I'll be back. Okay, I got the first hole here drilled from this side all the way through. Now I'll take this off. Actually, I can leave it on if I want, but yeah, why not? I'll glue on this side. This is just to get the soldered up as best I can before I push it down. A little tricky, but I'll get it. More super glue. About where I want it before I press down on it. She's not cooperating with me. That's it right there. Spray it with some of this accelerator here. There, now I can drill the other side through, and I'll be back. Alright, I got this prep for glue up. I'm going to sand this down nice and clean yet, but here's what I do. I put a bunch of grooves in it, and then I also put grooves in the bolsters. Grooves in the bolsters. Groove in the bolster, groove in the bolster. Okay, since I'm not repinning it like the factory did with the brass, I do these series of grooves. It gives more for the epoxy to grab onto. And also, front and back where this wood meets the bolster is grooved. I've actually had a scale pop off on me because I didn't have them grooves done. But when this gets glued on now, it has way more to grab. And these holes that I cut in here, these slots that I cut in here, and in here in the bolsters, all four sides, 2, 4, 6, 8 of them, or 4, I'm sorry. They're basically act like biscuit joints to keep both ends from wanting to pop up and I've never had one fail since. A lot of guys don't do that. They don't even do this. They just scuff it up with sandpaper, glue it on. They don't even put the pin in. Well, if I'm not putting the pin in, and I've done several knives like it, I do this biscuit joint technique in these grooves, and I've never had a failure even without the pin all the way through. If you're not going to run the pin all the way through, and you don't want to see the pin for the spring lock back, remember I cut this off so it's more than long enough to put it in here, go through the spring and out the other side. And Buck makes these already beveled, so when I peen that, you can see this is a factory peen. It's not going to go through. I'll cut that short and peen it, you know, cut it like 1/8 of an inch high, and then just peen it, mushroom that head so that it sits inside of that beveled area just like this one does here. And then that will be hidden by the wood if I didn't want to put the pin on like I'm doing here. So these are cut. I'm going to get gluing it up here and epoxy it together. And then my next video will be sanding it down, finishing all the wood, and getting it restained again green. And also I'll be carving this. I'm going to do a Celtic knot, I think, all the way up. I think with the green wood that's going to look really sharp. So that will be tomorrow's video. So hopefully I'll have it out by tomorrow. If not, next day or so. So I'll get this glued up and I'll give you a final shot of it clamped up, and that'll be it. Okay, now I got some acetone here. I need to clean this brass off here. Get it ready for epoxy. You can see I don't have it 100% clean. That's ready to go. Get these inside of these scales all cleaned up. Acetone clean everything when you're epoxying things together, especially on metal. You don't want no dust because it'll separate your bond for sure. So you don't have to worry about this old glue from the old scales, because I got all these grooves in the biscuit joinery I'm doing here, and they can affect it. So that's ready to go. We're gonna get me a new pin now and get ready to glue up. Okay, now where them factory pins were, the brass pins that went through the scales to pin them onto the liners from the factory, you don't want epoxy seeping in there. So what I do is, you can see I shot hot glue in them. So now I just take a sharp razor blade and I just cut that off, and it creates caps, hot glue caps, to keep the epoxy from coming through. You can tape the inside of the liners too, but that's just a pain in the butt. Oh, I gotta put some more glue in that one. Didn't take. I just cut this out with the razor knife, make sure the hole's filled. If it ain't, I put more glue in it. This is a lot easier than spending that extra time to tape them off on the inside. Make sure that it's in there still. And you don't have a bunch of glue on the outside or on the epoxy side of the liners. Okay, that's off. I'm going to shoot another thing of glue on 2 of these holes. Okay, I gotta wait for that to cool off a little bit. Okay, one more. There we go. They appear to be filled. Hot glue plugs. It'll keep that epoxy from going inside. Now, if I had the spring in here, I would tape this off so I didn't get I don't get a bunch of epoxy runoff, so I'm fine if I'm not putting the spring in yet. If the lockback spine's going in, then you got to tape this whole thing off, because last thing you want to do is get epoxy in there and harden up and make it difficult to open and close the knife. But since I'm not, and I'm just gluing these on, I'm going to go ahead and get them ready to epoxy on. Okay, I'm ready to epoxy this bad boy together. I've got this JB Clear Weld right here. 5-minute epoxy, it's what I use. And how I mix it is I put some tape where I'm going to mix it at. This makes for a quick cleanup. Just like that. Mix my two parts here. That's about it. Okay, I'm ready to go. Now, you look at this. I put a piece of 3/16 1084 in here in the middle of the brass liners all the way through, and I left it open here where the pin goes through, of course. And the reason behind this is when I clamp down the two pieces on each side, it doesn't collapse the liners in on me. A lot of guys don't do this. I do it. It makes it a hell of a lot easier. And then I shoot some hot glue here, hot glue there, here and here, so the epoxy don't get between the liner and the steel. And I can just literally pull it right out. I'll just cut the hot glue off and just pull it right out. But I also went across here and made sure there was no high spots with the glue. The last thing you want is a gap from the glue. And that's all cleaned up, ready to go. Okay, so here we go. Don't forget to put the glue in the biscuit joints that you made on the end of your scales. Same with here. Make sure there's some epoxy inside them biscuit joints that you put in the bolsters. I peened the end of this head so it wouldn't fall through. Okay. Flip it over. Epoxy in the biscuit joints. Okay. Epoxy in the biscuit joints. These grooves that I cut in there with the Dremel tool, they're like biscuit joints themselves. I mean, it really has a lot more to grab onto. Like I said, after I started doing it this way, I never had a field scale yet. Okay, now I got to do my cleanup, get it clamped up and get it cleaned up. I prefer to do this anyways with the spring out or the locked back spine. Alright, I gotta go get some rags. And get my clamps. Gotta make sure that's where I want it. Okay, time for cleanup. Never have enough acetone, folks. Never have enough acetone. A lot of this will sand off anyways. I just don't want to have any too big of a runoff in it. You really should be taping up your blade, but I gotta do some sanding on that since this is an older knife anyway. Like I said, that hot glue will keep that epoxy from gluing the metal to the inside of the liner. Okay, I can go ahead and push this pin out. I really don't want to glue that in, since everything's sitting where it needs to be. I just got to check it all, make sure my wood's sitting where it needs to be. That'll work. Yeah. Okay. Let this sit overnight, and then tomorrow's video I'll be working on carving a Celtic knot on the spine. And I won't do nothing to the blade, just the spine. Celtic knot with the green. I think that's going to be really cool since I'm Irish. Part Irish anyways. And then we'll get this thing sanded down, cleaned up, restained, and complete tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, please. It sure helps out my channel a lot. And hit the bell if you want to be notified on the next video for this and others to come. And I'm just getting started here in YouTube, so share my page, help me out all you can, and I look forward to teaching you all my techniques. Thanks for watching, and have a great day, folks. We'll talk to you later. Peace.